There are exactly 3 things on the front porch of my locked fishing cabin: a galvanized minnow bucket, a welcome mat that says, "Go away," and Beverly HOA, president of Foxwell Ridge, bracing a cordless reciprocating saw against my brand new deadbolt while yelling at the sheriff's deputy, "Leave, or I will destroy it," with pure rage in her voice as the deputy told her to step back. The saw was still running. The blade was 2 in from my doorframe, and Beverly's eyes had that special glint that said she truly believed she was the hero in this story. My name is Nolan Mercer. I own a tidy ranch on a cul-de-sac in Foxwell Ridge, a neighborhood where the grass is measured in millimeters and the gossip in miles. I am a quiet guy. I work remote, grill on Sundays, and disappear twice a month to my fishing cabin on Lark's Lake, 20 minutes away, outside city limits, paid off my sanctuary. The cabin is nothing fancy, just 800 square ft of cedar siding, a dock that leans slightly left, and a view that makes you forget what day it is. I bought it 5 years ago with cash for my grandfather's estate. No mortgage, no HOA, no rules, except don't leave food out for the bears. Enter Beverly Crennel. Pearl necklace, posture like a pitchfork, and an HOA binder swollen with color-coded tabs that could fell a moose. She has been president of the Foxwell Ridge HOA for 7 years. 7 years of measuring hedges with a tape measure. 7 years of sending violation notices for mailbox fonts. 7 years of attending city council meetings to complain about skateboards. Beverly does not have hobbies. She has jurisdictions, and somehow she decided my cabin on private county land, not in Foxwell Ridge, not even in the same zip code, was somehow her jurisdiction. I did not know what you call the opposite of property lines yet. Then Beverly taught me delusion. It started cute, a friendly reminder taped to my mailbox. All secondary structures must match Foxwell Ridge's approved trim palette. My cabin is cedar and lake water. Palette denied. I called the HOA office. I spoke to Beverly personally. "Mr. Mercer," she said in a voice that could pickle cucumbers, "the community standards apply to all properties owned by residents." I said, "Beverly, my cabin is not in Foxwell Ridge," she said. "You live in Foxwell Ridge, therefore your property is subject to review." I said, "That is not how property law works." She hung up. Then came a drone buzzing over the dock. I was sitting there with a coffee watching the sunrise when this little quadcopter appeared and hovered 6 feet above my head like a mechanical mosquito. When I waved at it, the drone dropped a laminated violation notice. "Unapproved watercraft. Robo," close parenthesis. The thing landed in my tackle box. I looked up at the drone. I swear the camera lens looked smugged. Next door lit up with posts from concerned resident Bev, alleging I ran an illegal fish processing operation. She included photos taken with a telephoto lens. My cabin, my dock. My neighbor Earl commented, "That is just a guy fishing, Bev." She replied, "Unapproved commercial activity violates Section 124. C. She trespassed to measure my birdhouse with a caliper. I am not joking. I pulled up one Saturday and she was standing on a stepladder with a digital caliper, muttering about non-compliant dimensions. I said, "Beverly, what are you doing?" She said, "Structures over 8 in require approval. It is a birdhouse. It is for birds." She climbed down, wrote something on a clipboard. and said, "I will be filing a report." Earl, who lives up the road, watched the whole thing from his porch and yelled, "You are going to cite the sparrows next, Bev." She sent photos of my cooler to the board, claiming it was a commercial freezer. The cooler is a 4.8Q Igloo I bought at a garage sale for $10. It holds exactly 12 beers and 1 sandwich. Beverly's email to the board, which I obtained later through a public records request, described it as industrial refrigeration equipment consistent with unlicensed food service operations. She attached a photo. The cooler was open. Inside, 3 perch, a Gatorade, and a bag of pretzels. Her magnum opus, a certified letter stating the HOA was scheduling mandatory corrections at my off-site amenity, which is legalese for "we are going to show up and mess with your stuff." The letter listed 17 violations: unapproved exterior paint color, unauthorized dock extension, non-compliant rain gutters. "I do not have rain gutters," the letter concluded. "Failure to comply will result in corrective action undertaken by the association at the owner's expense." It was signed by Beverly and notarized by her sister, Deborah, who is also on the board. I got to the cabin one Friday and swapped the old padlock for a proper deadbolt shell commercial grade with a reinforced strike plate. I also installed 2 trail cams, one on the porch and one facing the driveway, and a battery-powered alarm that could wake the dead. Break in, and it screams like a banshee. I texted Earl, installed some security. "Let me know if you see anyone snooping around." Earl texted back, $10, says she shows up with a clipboard. The next morning, Beverly arrived with 2 landscapers, an orange safety vest, and the kind of confidence you only get from YouTube law school. She was driving a white Lexus with a Foxwell Ridge HOA magnetic sign on the door. The landscapers looked confused. One of them was holding a hedge trimmer. The other had a rake. Beverly had a clipboard, a bullhorn, and a reciprocating saw. She called the cops from my driveway, claiming abandoned structure and public hazard with a voice dripping with false concern. I could hear her from inside. "Yes, officer. I am at 1422 Larks Lake Road. There is a structure here that appears abandoned and poses a risk to the community. No, I do not know the owner. Well, I mean, I know who owns it, but he is not responding to notices." She marched to the door and drilled into the lock. The alarm detonated. It is 120 dibbles of pure auditory violence. The landscapers dropped their tools and ran. One of them tripped over the minnow bucket. Beverly kept drilling. Sparks flew. The saw blade hit metal and made a sound like a cat in a blender. She was screaming something, but I could not hear it over the alarm. Then a sheriff's cruiser rolled up. Deputy Tate stepped out. Beverly, still holding the saw, turned and yelled, "This man has abandoned his property, and I am authorized to secure it." Deputy Tate said, "Ma'am." "Put the saw down," Beverly said. "I am the HOA president." Deputy Tate said, "Ma'am, put the saw down now." She put it down. The alarm was still screaming. I opened the door. Deputy Tate looked at me, looked at Beverly, looked at the saw, and said, "Sir, do you know this woman?" I said, "Unfortunately." Beverly interrupted. "I am acting on behalf of the Foxwell Ridge Homeowners Association. This property is in violation of community standards." Deputy Tate said, "Ma'am, do you own this property?" Beverly said, "No, but as HOA president, I have authority to enforce compliance. Deputy Tate said, "This property is not in Foxwell Ridge." Beverly said, irrelevant. In the chaos, Beverly tried Plan B. She sprayed the lakeside reeds with herbicide to comply with shoreline aesthetics, she announced proudly. She had a backpack sprayer, an industrial-strength weed killer. Those reeds are part of a protected heron nesting area. They are also habitat for frogs, dragonflies, and about 6 species of fish. My trail cam caught everything. Beverly walking down to the shore. Beverly pumping the sprayer. Beverly dousing the reeds with enough chemicals to sterilize a parking lot. And then the best part, Beverly shouting at the deputy with fury in her voice, "If he will not open it, Foxwell Ridge will." That line traveled faster than gossip. It also pinged the county game warden, who did not enjoy hearing the words, "sprayed the reeds," on scene. Sheriff's Deputy Tate, Game Warden Ellis, and my neighbor Earl from up the road, who brought popcorn and a lawn chair. We unfurled plat maps like a courtroom drama picnic. Deputy Tate had his laptop open, cross-referencing parcel numbers. I had my deed. Beverly had her binder. Deputy Tate confirmed the address was in Bryer County's rural zone, not Foxwell Ridge, not incorporated, not subject to any HOA covenants, Beverly said. But he lives in Foxwell Ridge, Deputy Tate said. Ma'am, that does not extend your jurisdiction to other properties. Warden Ellis eyed the shiny puddles where Beverly's herbicide glowed like antifreeze. "Ma'am," he said, in a tone that was all business, "this is a protected shoreline. You have possibly violated County Code 9.16 and the State Aquatic Vegetation Statute." Beverly tried to hand him a Foxwell Ridge bylaw printout with a tab labeled Cabins. He handed it back like it was hot laundry. The deputy watched my cam footage on his body cam. The phrase, "destroy it," played back in crisp HD. Beverly, on camera, saw in hand, screaming at my door. Deputy Tate said, "Ma'am, I am going to need you to stay here." Beverly said, "I have a board meeting at 3. Deputy Tate said, "You are going to miss it." Suddenly, I was not the defendant. I was the witness. Deputy Tate asked me if I wanted to press charges for vandalism and trespassing. I said yes. Warden Ellis asked if I wanted to file a complaint about the herbicide. I said, "Absolutely." Beverly said, "This is ridiculous. I am protecting property values." Earl, still munching popcorn, said Bev. "You just poisoned a heron sanctuary," Beverly said. Those reeds were overgrown. 2 weeks later, the special HOA meeting in the Foxwell Ridge clubhouse looked like a wedding reception for subpoenas. The county issued Beverly citations for trespass, vandalism, misuse of herbicide near a protected habitat, and filing a false report. 4 citations, each one came with a court date. The HOA's insurance carrier dialed in, tight-voiced, to say premiums would adjust materially. Translation: your rates just tripled because your president attacked a cabin with a saw. Warden Ellis presented a slideshow. The clubhouse projector displayed each image in vivid detail. Slide 1, Beverly in her vest, standing in my driveway with the saw. Slide 2, Beverly with a sprayer, dousing the reeds. Slide 3, Beverly mid-scream at my door. Face read, saw raised. Slide 4 was a heron, captioned "Victim Impact Statement." The room made the sound of 60 people realizing their gardening fee just became a legal fund. Someone in the back said, "How much is this going to cost us?" The board treasurer said, "We are looking at 20 to 30,000 in legal fees, plus the premium increase." The board voted to remove Beverly as president. The vote was 8-1. Beverly voted for herself. Then the sheriff served her with a temporary restraining order from me, my cabin, and any shoreline within 500 feet unless supervised by a licensed adult, which in the paperwork was me. Beverly said, "This is absurd." Deputy Tate said, "Ma'am, you need to leave now." Beverly's sentence came with the decorator's touch. Restitution for the lock, $1,500. Dock repairs, $800. A donation to the Lark's Heron Trust, $5,000. A year of probation, 200 hours community service, picking goose droppings off the county boat ramp, and a ban from holding any HOA office in Bryan County for 5 years. The judge read each item slowly, like he was savoring a fine wine. Beverly's lawyer tried to argue that she was acting in good faith. The judge said, "Counselor, your client attacked a door with a saw and poisoned a wildlife habitat. Good faith left the building." She stood there in the courtroom, face red, hands shaking, staring at the judge like he had just told her the world was flat. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. The judge said, "Miss Crandall, do you understand the terms of your sentence?" Beverly whispered, "Yes, Your Honor." The judge said, "I did not hear you." Beverly said louder, her voice cracking, "Yes, Your Honor." For the first time since I had known Beverly Crandall, she had absolutely nothing to